to get unstuck, you need to get unstuck from your wounded self. You need to make a new choice, to be open to learning, to learn from your feelings, to connect with your guidance, and learn about what's loving to you, what's in your highest good. And I assure you, you will get unstuck. So I want to address the question of people feeling stuck in their relationship, in their work, in their finances. How do you get unstuck from those situations? It's a big issue today. There's economic insecurity, people having a lot of problems with their relationships, not liking their work. And so it's a big issue that it's important to address. So often when somebody feels stuck, what they do is look outside themselves. I'm stuck because this person is doing that, or this situation is happening, or my boss or coworkers or employees are doing this or that, or I'm not getting paid enough, and my spouse is spending too much money, or there's so many ways of going external, which is what the wounded self does, is go external. And it's addicted to that. I see it over and over with my clients, addicted to, well, this person needs to do it differently. If only that person did this, and if only this changed, and if only that happened, and blah, blah, blah. And of course, we can't do anything about them. We don't have control over others. And the wounded self likes to feel like a victim, that nothing will change until the outer changes. And then you're stuck because you can't make the outer change. But when you decide to go in, and when you decide to take whatever the situation is, whether it's your relationship or it's your work or it's your finances, and you go in to do inner bonding and explore how you're treating yourself, how you feel about yourself. Is your wounded self in charge, telling you that you're not good enough, that you're unworthy, that somebody else has to approve of you to be okay, that somebody else has to change for you to be okay or to feel safe? You want to go inside, because what we can change is ourselves. We can change how we feel about ourselves. We can shift our belief system to what's true. We can take loving action for ourselves. What we have the capacity to do is to raise our frequency. And it's important to understand what frequency is, because I'm sure most of you have heard of the law of attraction, and it's very valid. Like attracts like. And so if you're operating out of a frequency that's coming from fear, from guilt, from shame, from anger, from self-judgment, from any form of self-abandonment, your frequency is too low to manifest. It's too low to learn what you need to learn. You're not going to get the guidance you need. You're not going to be hearing the inner guidance, your soul, your inner child. You're not going to be hearing your higher guidance, which is what you need to get unstuck. There's always a way. But you can't get there if your frequency is too low. A high frequency is when we're open to learning, when we're feeding ourselves well with good, clean, hopefully organic food. We're not eating junk food and weighing our body down and lowering our frequency that way. And we're not in our wounded self, judging ourselves and doing all the ways we abandon. That's what keeps our frequency low. You're not going to manifest from that low frequency. But we live in a universe of frequency. And when you choose the intention to learn and to feed yourself well and to get your frequency higher, you start to co-create with spirit. You start to be able to access the information that you need to get unstuck. You start to be able to access the ability to manifest. We are not here alone. And one of the things that I think is very important for each person to remember is that we came here as a soul for a major purpose. We came here to evolve in our ability to love, starting with ourselves and then sharing our love, and then sharing our love through our gifts in the world. That's why we came here. Now, you might not remember that. I did remember it at some point years ago. I remembered that that was the journey. And that made a big difference to me in terms of how I deal with life, because I see everything, even really tough things, as an opportunity to learn more about what I need to learn to love myself. Everything becomes an opportunity. All the difficulties in relationships become an opportunity for me to evolve in my ability to love. Everything in a work situation, all the financial challenges become opportunities to learn what would be loving to you and to others. And if you see these challenges as opportunities to evolve in your ability to love, you will find yourself being able to change circumstances in your life. And it doesn't have to take that long. You will find yourself being able to manifest. Sometimes when my wounded self has taken over, because I haven't reached enlightenment, so sometimes my wounded self will take over, and I can immediately start to feel things not going as well. And as soon as I recognize it, and I move back into inner bonding, and I move back into a higher frequency, and I connect with my guidance, and I open to the co-creation, things change so fast. It's just amazing to me how rapidly they can change when we shift our intention and shift our frequency. So to me, getting stuck is not an external thing. It's an internal thing. You get stuck in your wounded self. You get stuck in your false beliefs. You get stuck seeing yourself as a victim of a situation. Now, that's not to say we're never victimized. I mean, I think of somebody like Nelson Mandela. I think he's an extraordinary role model for us. 27 years in prison, being tortured. I mean, if you've ever read about what he went through, and he finally shifted into a whole other perspective, seeing even his jailers and the people who tortured him in a different perspective. And when he finally got out and became president, he called his jailers up and forgave them. And they started to cry, and they took it in. It is amazing. He is such an amazing role model for us. And if he can do that, 27 years in prison being tortured, certainly we can in our lives right now. And, you know, I've read so many accounts of people in concentration camps. There's one I read recently called The Choice, about this woman. I can't remember her name right now, but she was in a concentration camp when she was 17, and her parents were killed and she was tortured. And then just before she died, she got liberated, and she did survive and became a psychologist. And as far as I know, she's still alive. The last time I looked, she was 95. And she's written a number of books, and her story is amazing. It's about choice. It's about choice. And like Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, it's about choice. And to me, if these people could make a choice to be loving to themselves and stay connected during torture, we can make that choice. We all have the ability to make the choice to shift our intention from feeling like a victim. I mean, there's a difference. She talks in The Choice about the difference between actually being a victim, which she was in the concentration camp, and victimhood, which is seeing yourself seeing like she saw herself as a victim after, and she had to heal that so that she wasn't living in victimhood. There's a difference. If you're living in victimhood, you're stuck. There's nothing you can do as long as your intention is to see yourself as a victim. But even if you're actually being victimized like they were, you still have a choice. And this is what Viktor Frankl talked about so much. You still have a choice. Nobody can take away your choice of your attitude, of your intention. And it's interesting that the woman who wrote The Choice, she was mentored by Viktor Frankl, which I think is just wonderful. So here's the point. To get unstuck, you need to get unstuck from your wounded self. You need to make a new choice, to be open to learning, to learn from your feelings, to connect with your guidance, and learn about what's loving to you, what's in your highest good. And I assure you, you will get unstuck. That is the way out, whether it's in a relationship or at work or financial, whatever it is, you will get unstuck because of the law of attraction, because like attracts like. And when you're in a higher frequency, you will be attracting that into your life. This week's episode is brought to you by the Inner Bonding Masterclass. When you join this membership, you'll be part of a compassionate and supportive community who understands what you're going through and who will help you throughout your healing journey. The Inner Bonding membership is created to provide laser coaching for you and others in the community who may be facing the same struggles, so that you can practice the inner bonding process more effectively and apply it to your life. You also get to vote on the topic that we will focus on in our bi-monthly masterclass. This way, you and the community will always learn about and get guidance on the topic you're requesting most. Go to innerbonding.com/members to join us. You can use the code BENEFIT to get a 10% discount on your registration at checkout. Again, go to innerbonding.com/members.